Hi guys, welcome back to Sura TV. I'm Ratna, your usual host with the most. We are continuing with investments that we can actually get into. Depending on what age you are, whatever age that you are, you need to be able to make a decision on what suits you at that particular time of your life, or whatever is happening in your life at that particular time. The week before last, I actually had NJ, who is also a private equity specialist. We were actually talking about a bit of private equity, and then we also talked about investing as a young man. What did he invest in as he evolved as a young man from his 20s to his 30s with a family and etc. So I just wanted to give an example that as you grow, your priorities change and your goals change, but they need to always be aligned to where you are in your life and who you are as a person and what you value. All right, so I'll just make a bit of a recap of what we actually spoke about with NJ. I remember we actually talked about a couple of investments that you can get yourself into. For instance, if you have children, what can you do? You can actually invest, find some sort of fund for education for the children. Where can you get that? You can actually get that from asset management companies. They do have unit trusts. There is some unit trusts, asset management companies that offer low deposits for you to get in, so you can actually find that. Just Google asset management companies, but some asset management companies are not necessarily open to everybody to come and deposit as low as 200 pula as compared to another one that we actually know of. Others will require you to start with 10,000 pula going up for you to be able to open some sort of unit trust or fund, trust that you can use that as a education fund for your kids. You can also use those unit trusts for whatever kind of savings that you would want to have, including actually retirement. It's up to you. You don't necessarily have to use retirement annuities or through insurance companies. You can also use the asset management companies to also invest for your retirement long term. So today I actually wanted to touch on compound interest. Basically, what I want to talk about, the reason why I want to talk about compound interest investments that you can get into is that those are probably one of the best investments that you can get into. What are compound interest investment accounts? Basically what this is that when you invest your money and then it has the interest, the earnings that you get from that, it gets reinvested back again. So the process of that on how it works is that eventually you should be able to earn interest while your money remains invested. So that is actually quite a good investment that you can also get into. But I'm going to talk about the types of compound interest investments that you can get into and what do they mean. And one of them is actually certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposits, actually this one is issued by the banks normally, and they generally offer higher interest savings, and these are federally insured deposits. I know that they used to be here because I remember when we were still in UB, we used to actually invest our money with an organization that I was in called ISEC. We used to actually just take that money and actually invest it on certificate of deposits at the bank at the time. But now I've since learned that the banks don't offer certificates of deposits locally, but I know in other countries they do offer it. So because we do have a large following besides Botswana, we would like to advise you to also check the banks for certificates of deposits that you can actually invest in and find out how much their interest rates are. But the interest rates are also quite good as compared to normal savings accounts. All right, and there's also what you call, this is also a type of compound interest savings or compound interest investments that you can also get into, is that the money will remain invested and then they give you some sort of interest back. All right, there's also within the banks, as much as I was discouraging the last time, that don't leave your money in a savings account that doesn't earn you much interest. The thing with the banks is that they do have savings accounts or investments accounts that can earn you good interest. You just need to do your research. Go to your banker or your relationship manager, find out what kind of savings accounts do they have that will earn you good savings accounts. You can even say, guys, what kind of savings accounts do you guys have that will earn me good compound interest, where my money remains invested and you reinvest it and eventually I can just earn interest from it only while it remains invested. Just ask them and just make your research around and visit them as well. Another one that which is a type of compound interest investment, it's actually rental homes, where you actually invest in property for you to rent it out, because what you invest in that property, and guess what, you get the rentals that come to you. So remember that it now becomes an investment for you when you've actually cleared out whatever debt that is that you've actually invested that property in. So if you've actually paid some debt for it, make sure that it's cleared, and once it's cleared, now it becomes a proper investment. It doesn't belong to the bank, right? It belongs to you. So this is what it is, also a type of compound investment, because your money will be invested there and then you get your rentals. Basically, then you are getting your interest from investing in rental homes, right? So that's another type of compound interest investment that you can get into. Another one, bonds. We've spoken about bonds. I spoke about bonds the other day when I told you that when I was sharing my journey, that when I started, I got into bonds, and I went to an asset management company, found out what kind of bonds I can invest in, and they told me what I can do. You can also check the stockbrokers in Botswana, any stockbrokers in Botswana, find out if they also can help you invest in bonds. So different types of bonds, there's government bonds as well as corporate bonds. So those are also quite good, because then your money also can remain invested and you can be given your interest. All right, so that's another one. Another one that you can get into is also stocks, investing in stock. We spoke about investing in stock with NJ when he was a guest here. Basically, investing in stocks means you are going to go to the Botswana Stock Exchange, but through the stockbrokers in Botswana. There are different ones. If you want to know them, just Google stockbrokers in Botswana and you'll find there actually, I think, 3 or 4 of them in Botswana. You can only buy shares. The gonna buying stocks means buying shares in companies, listed companies on the Botswana Stock Exchange, and then you can just visit them and you can actually see which ones you can get into. We talked about high value investments in stocks, the how can you find out that it's worth my time and worth my money to invest in this particular company. Is not as risky as others, because this one and the algorithms or whatever calculations that they do behind the scenes shows that it will perform well. You ask the stockbroker to do that for you as well, for you to be able to invest in stock. That is another one that can be a compound investment type that you can get into, because that means your money can remain invested there and then they give you dividends every year or every biannually or whatever their policy for that company would be, right? And then we also have what you call REITs. Those are actually real estate investment trusts. Basically, what you can do is you can actually invest in companies that have invested in property. This is when you possibly maybe you do not want to run the property yourself. Let's say you've actually invested in property, you want to property, but you don't want to run the property because it's actually quite tedious for you to be running around with agents or running around with looking for tenants or maintenance or whatever. You don't want that, but you'd like to invest in property. You can actually invest in property through the stock exchange, listed companies, or obviously that have actually invested in property. We do have them in Botswana. So just back to stocks a bit, that I forgot to mention, that you don't necessarily have to invest in stock locally only. You can also invest in stock outside. You just need to find out. I know I had an interview with one of the ladies at Emirates. They did say they can assist with investing in the stock exchanges outside of Botswana, and you can find out how much minimum do you need. I remember she mentioned at least minimum 50,000 pula for you to be able to invest in stocks outside Botswana. All right, so those are the few that I wanted to share with you guys, that when you actually want to invest, try and focus on compound interest investments that you like. This is where basically, I'll repeat that again, the money that you've actually invested and the earnings that come of it get reinvested back into whatever investment that you are in, and then eventually you should be able to earn from that investment, or earn interest or earn returns from that investment while the money remains invested. And I've been giving you all types of those types of compound interest that you can get into. So that was just to give you an idea, right? So now that we have actually now know what to do, and remember that it all depends on where you are in your life and what your priorities are. If you have got children, those are probably one of the few priorities that you should make. Invest for them, invest for their future as well. So the next thing that I want us to talk about is how can we protect these investments, this estate of yours, because now remember, an estate estate is basically your what you own, your assets, less your liabilities. So we're going to be talking about our next conversation. I'll be having a lawyer friend in that we're going to be talking about how to protect these investments, and as well on how to make trusts, how to create trusts for our families so that we can have a legacy going on for our families. Just look forward to that coming up. I hope this was a helpful time for you to see what kind of investments you can get into for you to grow your money and grow your wealth. All right. I hope this was helpful, and I wish you all the best and a great week ahead of you. Bye for now.